Welcome to Better with Art. I'm Melinda, and I'm here to encourage you to reclaim your creativity and practice creative self-care with weekly small art prompts that can be done in an art journal or on paper if you don't have one. This week I have my art journal and a sheet protector. You can use a sheet protector or a zipper bag. I have to sort my markers because I am me. Marker sorting is not required. So again, I found a simple project on Instagram that I would like to share with you for the relaxation factor for the most part. I will link to that in the description. The individual in the video was coloring tiles for her artwork and had, I believe, 6, 8 under her page protector. So you wouldn't have to set your plastic or aluminum foil over your page, but it also gives you an idea of size. So these are water-based markers because we will be using water. And just color some random areas of your page in colors that you would like. I should have added more of each as I went. That's okay. There is something therapeutic about just coloring without worrying about accomplishing any particular look. So kind of scribbling, I guess. Put the pink in between. Of course, now I'm going to have a lot of pink and orange on that side, but trying to avoid some mud, but it'll be fine. I'm not sure if these markers, you can tell from the outside which is the finer tip, but that's okay. Maybe we'll throw some red in, not just pink. So yes, we start with, let's call it therapeutic scribbling. I probably should have mentioned sooner. If you like to art along with me, you will need either a water brush pen or just a regular little paintbrush and some water. The next thing we do is have the fun of putting down dots of water. Again, just enjoy it. No particular pattern or goal. If you would like to use a pattern, that's your choice. Whatever you find most relaxing. I think my dots are getting a little big, but I guess we'll see how it works. Yes, projects like this, I just try with you instead of experimenting before. There are things that I will see how well they work first. And sometimes there are things that I start filming and realize I'm missing some key aspect to make it work the way it should. So the one benefit of the clear plastic over the aluminum foil is you can see your colors and where they need more application. And I may have had too many large drops. The other thing you need is a paper towel or shop towel to blot up excess. And the next thing you can do is with the funny dark droplets that are left, can use them to, well, mine's a little too wet to make this work quite the way it's in the video. And I didn't dry my paper as well as I should have, apparently. But that's okay. Our art journals are places, a place. Your art journal is a place where you can experiment and express yourself without concern for what others think. And yes, this should have been drier before I tried to add little dots. And now I know I can also use less water. I intended to do 2 pages anyway, and now I know I can do things a little differently. I think I'll try it this way this time. And just random coloring. So one thing I noticed with the blue is in some, the darker colors weren't as water soluble. They dried a little, which looks interesting also. Seem to have run my hand through that. Yes, if you've been around a while, you already know that I'm not necessarily the tidiest artist in the world, and that's okay. And again, this is my art journal. It's not so much about how it ends up looking as it is about the process, the creating, the getting lost in the process, the opportunity to enter flow, and just enjoy creating for creating's sake. I think I'm going to add a little gray, which is, I don't know, what do you call that, bluish or greenish? Either way, I'm going to use a little less water this time. I may also have too much marker. Oops. Okay, so now I don't seem to have quite enough water to blend all of my marker. Well, let's just add a little. So yes, my art journal art, and you can see that things aren't always going to turn out the way we have in our head, or the way we expect them to, or want them to on our first tries, or even second or third, and that's okay. This does have its own interesting look. Let's try the little dots in drier areas that I can tell are drier. Try to have them touch a little less. So that's fun. Although ideally I find things more fun when they're even easier to get to work the way I have in my head. But again, focusing on the process tends to be much more therapeutic. And it is an interesting process to see the color spread through the water. So you can get a sort of watercolor look, a watercolor wash look with hot watercolors. And this would probably work better with washable markers, but I didn't have any on hand. So I figured, what was the worst thing that could happen? I would try it once, it wouldn't work awesomely, and I'd try again after work. I think I'll do it one more time, do the process a little differently this time. I mean, how therapeutic is it to make circles? They're awesome for just relaxing art. There's something about the round, which I'm sure psychologically, scientifically, there's something. I'm going to overlap my colors a little bit more this time, which could mean that in some areas I'll end up with a little mud. Right now, everything, I'm only using warm colors right now, so mud shouldn't be a thing. So now that gives me the idea of I should do a warm color one and a cool color one. And these are colors that can all blend together. Of course, when you get into the green and blue and purple, your green and purple could cause a little trouble. But purple, with its having red and blue, I'll throw this in here. Yes, scribbling can definitely be therapeutic. And purple and orange could create some mud, but that's okay. Let's see what happens. Try not to let those dry so much. Random dots of water. I hope you feel inspired to make some small art of your own this week, because taking time for creative self-care is so important for our mental health. It's not a waste of time. If you do feel inspired, yes, these are definitely not the ideal markers for this. If you do feel inspired to make some art, give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate the encouragement, and it does help YouTube know that my content is worth sharing, which helps me reach other people who need to be reminded that taking time for art is not a waste of time. Kind comments are always appreciated. Feel free to share with someone you know needs to be reminded to take time for art. needs to be reminded that their mental health is important, and creative self-care art making is important to mental health. I'm not going to dry this one because I like some of those lines it's creating. So again, if you have some washable markers, this will probably work better. But it's kind of interesting the way it is. All right, I am going to scribble some more. If you have not subscribed, be sure to do that also, which again helps me with the YouTube algorithm, but it also will keep you up to date on my Better with Art prompts, which I post every Sunday. And currently my shorts of my outside, my art journal art making. There should be a Wednesday video this week. Getting it edited is taking, let's just say time is something I don't have a lot of. So I know my darks tend to dry and not spread as easily because they dry faster. Anyway, there should be a Wednesday video again this week, which is the process of making Dive, which you may have seen the shorts of the various layers that it entailed. Another of my translucent layer collages, which are a lot of fun. And the workshop is still in process, which will have better sound than these Sunday morning videos. So if you are interested in some more detailed art process and my collage with translucent layers, there will be a link to be notified when registration for my Seeking Solace translucent layer collage workshop is open for registration. I want to show you some ways you can take this a little further, and I guess this one is dry enough. That one is not, and I'm purposely leaving it like that because again, I want it to dry that way. I was looking for one of my regular water resistant marker pens that I use in my art journals, but I have a black marker in this set. So one thing you could do is use lines in your colors to highlight fun shapes you see. Or you could just use it as a fun backdrop. For a flower garden, or whatever strikes your fancy. This one is harkening back to last week's project that started with a single line drawing, which I find very therapeutic and relaxing in how it allows me to not be so concerned about the final product and just enjoy the process. Because in the process, it can look kind of messier than you would like. But in the end, it's cool. I like it. So have fun. Make art. Let yourself get caught up in the process. Give your mind a chance to find flow. That place where all the other stuff just fades away. And your mind can just relax and gain some clarity in the quiet. Give yourself some time. Give yourself the chance to shut down all that noise outside and inside. This type of art making is great for depression and anxiety, stress. Remember that art doesn't have to look good to anyone else, or even really yourself, to be worth taking the time to make. I know that when I made the choice to reclaim my creativity, when I chose to take time to make art regularly, it had a huge difference on my mental health. But it took me years to accept that and actually do it. And I don't want you to be stuck there any longer than need be. If you're someone like me who is wired for physical art, make the art. And if you're not, finding ways to exercise your creativity in ways that are meaningful to you and you enjoy, you need to do it. We are wired for creativity. Made in the image of the Creator. So take time to make art. Whether you end up loving how your art journal art turns out or not, it is so worth taking the time. But yes, let go of however it is you think it should look in the end. I'll be back next week with another prompt, and Wednesday with some more art, all to encourage you to take time for art. Thank you for joining me today and giving me the opportunity to encourage you to take time for art and remind you that it's important. It's not a waste of time. this is getting a little crowded and chaotic, and that's okay because I'm just enjoying the feel of making those petals. And that's what this is about. The pleasure and sometimes the outlet for those emotions that can get hard to just keep stuffed inside. Make art, because we are better with art.